Our next speaker is Mr. Fong, Executive Chairman of LGMS Berhad. Mr. Fong, formerly a white hat hacker, founded one of the most trusted cybersecurity companies in Malaysia, LGMS Berhad. He is a well-sought-after international speaker, where many have claimed to enjoy his presence as they view him to be enthusiastic, humorous, and extremely dedicated and determined person who is proud to show his undying passion for cybersecurity and computer crime investigations. He enjoys sharing his hacking and cyber horror stories on various platforms like national TV programs, magazines, radio broadcasts, conferences, and webinars. In today's topic, Mr. Fong will be talking about cyber attacks. Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Fong.
Thank you, everyone. So before I start the presentation, I would like to do a small little experiment first. So if you like, please take out your handphone, your mobile phone, and turn on the Wi-Fi, and take a look at the Wi-Fi and see if you see anything strange. Check on the Wi-Fi, or you can use your laptop, switch on your laptop Wi-Fi, and let me know if you see anything unusual. Anyone see anything unusual? Anything? I see people smiling already, but do you see anything unusual? Okay, some phones you probably see a lot of Busan free Wi-Fi. Busan free Wi-Fi, in fact, that is a fake Wi-Fi. This is a Busan free Wi-Fi, by the way. That is a fake wireless access point. If this is configured properly, right, what we can do is, if your phone connected to this chip, we can program this chip to capture your information. For example, anything you go online, download and upload. This is exactly how hackers can hack into an organization by bypassing the firewalls. Right, so I'll pass this chip around, so hopefully it will return back to me later. Right? So good morning, everyone. My name is Fong. I'm the Executive Chairman of LGMS Berhad. So before I was a Executive Chairman, I was a hacker. That was like 20 years ago. So today what I hack mostly are Excel and PowerPoint. Right? But then again, I'm still having a very strong passion in cybersecurity. So a quick background about myself. As ethical hackers, I'm also very fond of computer crime investigation. In fact, I wrote a training program for PECB, Professional Evaluation Certification Board in the US, to train computer professionals in digital forensic. So I'm a very curious person. I like to study things, I like to tear things apart and look at how things work. As part of my career, in the 20 years of career in cybersecurity, what I would like to share with you, one of the key points is that 20 years ago, cybersecurity was so much different than what we see today. If 20 years ago, if you ask me who are the prime targets for hackers, who would hackers like to hack? I will probably tell you that, most likely banks, financial institutions, insurance companies, right? They are the prime targets. But today, as what my topic suggested, everyone is a target. Okay? I'm going to share with you two stories here. And these two stories are real stories that happened to me. And after you hear the stories, most likely it will change the way how you think about cybersecurity. Okay? So the first story is that I'm using broadband at home. I suppose everyone uses broadband at home, right? Everyone? You have broadband at home, you have Wi-Fi at home, right? So I was a bit curious because I subscribed to 800 meg line. I don't know how many crazy people are subscribing to 800 meg line, but it is a lot of bandwidth for home users. So I subscribed to 800 meg lines, and I got curious. I'm just wondering how many attacks, do I, as a home user, get to see if I switch on my router all the time. In fact, most of us have our routers on all the time, 24/7, 7 days a week, right? We don't have a time where we switch off our router. Our router is always on all the time. So I got curious. I'm just wondering how many attacks do I expect to see as a home user on my router? So when I first subscribed the line a few years ago, I installed a firewall and installed intrusion prevention system in front of the router. So whenever there's any attacks comes to my router, point to my router, attack to my routers, my firewall and intrusion prevention system will capture the attacks, will analyze, and then keep a log onto the attack about the attacks. So I was running the firewalls for about a week. And after a week, I got my results already, right? So can anyone here take a guess? I'm using 800 MAC lines. How many attacks do you think I can anticipate in a day? How many attacks do a home user will receive in a day? Can anyone guess? 10 attacks? 700? Oh, that's a very unique number, that's 700 but not 600. Okay? I receive about 50 to 53 attacks per minute. Per minute. So in a way, every minute I receive 50 attempts, average. And per hour, if you can multiply that per hour, I receive about 3,000 attempts. 3,000. Okay? If you multiply 24, that is the number of attacks I receive a day, no fail. And I have logs, tons of logs to back up the statement. And this was like a few years ago. So after the experiment, I decided that I just want to keep the firewall there. I decided that I want to keep the IPS there. I don't want to take off my firewall already because I feel so naked without a firewall. And this is exactly what is happening right now in the internet, ladies and gentlemen. The criminals today we are fighting against with are not human anymore. When I say they're not human, I don't mean by they're inhumane, right? When I say they're not human anymore, means that they are software we are fighting for. Hashtag Skynet, right? Basically, people who are attacking us today are software. Software are taking over the role of the hackers. They attack us 24/7, 7 days a week. The software will continuously look for loopholes in our organizations, even for home users. Because to the hackers, I'm just an IP address, nothing else, right? So for hackers, as long as you're online, whether you're using a phone, your laptop, or even at home, we are just an IP address. So an IP address are attackable, are susceptible to attacks. So that's why this software will continuously probe and find out where are the loopholes of this IP address and continue to probe. Now once the software found the loophole in this IP address, then only the human hacker will take over. Then only the human hacker will sit in front of the computers, look at what a loophole has been discovered, and then take over and hack into the organizations or hack into the home users. Right, so another question for everyone here. Does anyone here use CCTV at home? Do you have CCTV at home? When was the last time you changed your password? Yeah. When was the last time you refreshed your firmware for CCTV? Probably as a home user, we don't do that. You know, our password probably was set by the technician. They tell us, hey, the password is used, admin123 or password, then we just stick with it for the rest of our lives, right? So this is a problem that we're having here because hackers don't care. And all of these passwords also can be attempted by the hackers. In fact, there's even a search engine that allows the hackers to search for open CCTV systems in the whole country. There's a search engine like Google, like that. You go to the search engine, you search how many CCTV systems are online in Malaysia, you can find it. And how many CCTV systems are having default password, you can also find it. Hashtag Shodan. Go and look for this word, Shodan, S-H-O-D-A-N, right? It is a search engine that allows is very popular amongst hackers. So that's why today I would like to highlight that our point today is this. Everyone is a target today because hackers do not care anymore, right? In contrast with 2 decades ago, hackers will probably spend effort to look at some valuable targets. And what is the reason why hackers don't care? It is because the cost of hacking has become so low already, the cost of hacking. We used to require human brain power, human effort to sit in front of the computers to hack. That's why there's a cost involved. But today the cost has been so low to the point that hackers can just use automated machine to target a whole range of IP addresses. And the best of all, many of the hacking tools today are free, zero cost. All you need to do in order to find hacking tools, just go to Google, type download hacking tools. There are tons of links that allow you to go and find the hacking tools. And what makes it so dangerous is that a lot of these hacking tools today are getting more and more simpler to use. For someone who downloaded the tools, they may not be necessarily understanding what the tool does. But The tools usually have a very easy to understand user interface that allows someone to key in IP address and launch the attack. As simple as that. So that is the reason why we are living in such a dangerous world today. Because cyber threats are everywhere. Anyone can be a target. And any one of us can be an attacker as well. Because the tools are widely available. Right, so this is the first story that I have shared today. I hope that it will change the way how you think. Because sometimes when we go back home, right, we look at the routers lighting, keep blinking and blinking. We do not know what are these blinking stands for. We do not know what kind of traffic the routers are handling, right? But what I can share with you, the real life story is that I'm still getting 50. In fact, now it's even more. I'm getting more attacks today nowadays. An average more than 50, 60, 70, depends. Especially holiday seasons, I get more attacks. But this is on 800 line. If you're using 100 meg line or maybe lesser, probably you get lesser attacks. But the attacks will not stop. We are going to live in a world where the hackers will continuously attack us. There will not be a day the hackers will be going away. So this is one of the unfortunate facts that we have to accept. We are already living in a world where cyber warfare is common. We're already living in a world where criminals do not need to pay any responsibilities for their actions. Just like this, anonymous hacking. Right, so this is for individual. Now for enterprise, what can we do? Like, these cyber attacks also apply to enterprises. I remember very clearly earlier this year, January this year, there was a client that came to us. But before that, let me just do a very quick intro. LGMS currently is considered the largest independent cybersecurity assessor in the country. So we have close to 100 security consultants who provide ethical hacking for organizations to help the organizations to be more secure. So usually when I say ethical hackers, people are a bit afraid. What is ethical hackers? You guys know what the US is doing. But our responsibility is to work like the hackers, but the ultimate objective is to identify vulnerabilities, identify loopholes within the organizations, and help the organizations to be more secure. So today, other than providing ethical hacking services, we are also very active in computer crime investigation and digital forensic. In fact, if I say the best way we learn about cyber attacks today, actually learning from the bad guys. So every time that we get ourselves involved in the computer crime cases, every time we get ourselves involved into digital forensic cases, we actually learn something from the bad guys. We learn about what are the tools that they're using, what are the techniques they're using, right? How they hack, and we apply these techniques back to our penetration testing so we can apply this back to our client to let them experience the real life attacks. So one of the cases that happened earlier this year, January, it was a manufacturer. A manufacturer sent a distress call to us. The manufacturer called our department, saying that they are under attack, cyber attacks. So in reality, what happened was this manufacturer, they have a ransomware attack. In case anyone wondering what is a ransomware, ransomware is like a virus. You know, the ransomware objective is to encrypt your files, so that once you are infected with ransomware, all your document files will be encrypted. So this manufacturer called us in and told us that they are under ransomware attack. They cannot operate. They cannot open up the documents. So we went on site. We looked at. By the way, this is a public listed company here. And we cannot share the name here. So this manufacturer, we went on site, we're starting to study what went wrong. You know, this is the first thing we do when we conduct computer crime investigation. We look at what has been compromised, what has been compromised. So we look at the servers, we look at the desktops, then we realize that these manufacturers, the hackers actually came in through their VPN gateway, virtual private network gateway. And remember 2 years ago, not too far ago, we were under home quarantine, right? So many organizations have switched to work from home. So many of these organizations also deploy VPN gateway in the office, so the employees can connect back from home to the office through the VPN gateway. So the gateway is basically something that allows the employees to connect from home back to the office. So we found something very strange in the VPN gateway. The VPN gateway actually has a loophole, and this loophole is very interesting. When someone attacks this VPN gateway, the VPN gateway will spew out all of the employees' username and passwords to the attackers. It is a very old, known loophole that it was never been applied, the fix was never been applied on this VPN gateway. So if the manufacturer has done their security assessment, they have done a proactive health check, they would have found this loophole already, but they didn't. So the attackers were just attacking the VPN gateway, forcing the VPN gateway to spew out all the username and password, and they were using the username and password to log into the organizations. Okay, this is the scary part because as part of the investigation, we cannot tell whoever logged in who are the bad guys because the attackers, the bad guys, are using a valid employee username and password to log in. We cannot tell who's who already because every login are genuine login. Okay, so this add on to the challenge already because we cannot tell who's who. Then we're starting to isolate the situation. Then we're starting to look at employees' work hours. Some employees were not supposed to log in during midnight, and then we saw their names, then we starting to isolate. And then we found that almost I think 20 to 30% of the employees, group of the employees, management accounts were compromised, were used by the attackers to log in. So can you imagine this? If you have an organization and you have a username and password, all of your username and password were known by outsiders and to be used to log into your organizations, what kind of damage this can be done on the organization? The damage is huge, right? Then we're starting to look at the ransomware that they found in the network, right? So we identified the first problem already. Hackers went in through VPN gateway. But then how did ransomware get spread within the network, right? So we started to look at the ransomware. We brought the ransomware back to our lab, tear it apart, and start to study the ransomware. And we noticed that there's something very interesting about this ransomware. The ransomware was very complex. Complex to the point that we can see the author of the ransomware actually did spend a great deal of time to study the manufacturer's environment so that when the manufacturer got infected with the ransomware will know how to evade the antivirus. So the manufacturers, they all have antivirus on the desktop, but the ransomware know how to evade the antiviruses. All right, they know how to get a void detection by the antivirus. And we're also seeing a function embedded into the ransomware that used to uninstall the antivirus that manufacturers are using. So can you imagine this? You found ransomware, and then there's something very specific design of the ransomware that match with the victim's environment. The victims are using antivirus brand ABC, for example, and then the ransomware have a logic built in to show us that the ransomware know how to uninstall antivirus ABC. So not only it knows how to evade the detection, it knows how to uninstall antivirus of the manufacturer. So if you come to think of it, right, back to my point, manufacturing sector, cyber attack, this has nothing in relation before. Because we always had the concept that hackers are interested to hack banks, to hack financial institutions where money is, right? But today is no longer the case. Because when the manufacturer was hacked, their data were encrypted, they have no choice but to pay the hackers to get their data back. And the typical modus operandi today for the hackers is that not only they encrypt your files, they also take your files, publish in the dark web, and tell you that if you do not pay by when, they're going to release the full copy of the files. This is the current trend right now. So that's why regardless what industry we are in, right? We're in the financial industries, non-financial industry, manufacturing, healthcare, hospitalities, the hackers don't care. Because whatever we have, which are valuable to us, is also valuable to the hackers. So the manufacturer, we met up with the chairman of the manufacturer. So we were asking, the chairman was asking us a very simple question. We are a manufacturing firm. Why would hackers want to attack us? Right? It's a very simple question. So the answer we give to him is that hackers do not really know you are manufacturers, actually. In fact, they don't care if you are manufacturers. As long as today you're using any digital documents, you're using Microsoft Office, Words, you have your information stored on PDF, Excel, you already have valuable assets that hackers are after. Right? That's why industry is no longer important. Because all of us are still already using Office documents, we're using PDF files. All of us are equal. All industries are equal to the hackers. So that's why whatever valuable to us, remember, is also valuable to the hackers. They want to compromise this information. So the chairman also found it surprising because never in his life thought that as a manufacturer, he would have got compromised. And the story just didn't stop there because not only their files get encrypted, their invoices, purchase orders, all of these files were encrypted. So imagine that if you have invoices to collect payment from, and all of these files were encrypted, how are you going to collect the payment from? And how do you remember what payment to collect from? It's very difficult. So we also ask a very important question to these organizations, to these manufacturers. Did you have a backup? And probably you have guessed, they don't. They don't have a backup. So it was like a disaster. So a ransomware caused basically like a nuclear meltdown to the manufacturer. So they have to manually resort back to phone, call their suppliers, call their customers, and beg their customers to send back a copy of the invoices that they've delivered before, and have to check on the emails, hope that some of the attachments within the email are not encrypted, so they can retrieve back. So that is a very sad impact to the manufacturer because don't have backups. So another reason why I want to bring this up is also because today, like I said, all of us are target. So please make sure all of us have backups. And ensure that these backups are not attached 24/7. This backup has to be offline backups. Meaning that if you have a PC at home, get a separate hard drive, a USB hard drive, plug into the PC, do your backup on and off. Don't rely too much on our cloud backup because if the files are encrypted on our PC, the encrypted files will also get replicated to the cloud. So have an offline backup strategies. For enterprise, we can use tapes, we can use the traditional backup. In fact, those are still very viable. Right? So what we have learned from these manufacturers is in a very traditional belief that hackers today, we are only interested into financial sector is no longer true. And in fact, I share the same stories to our customers in healthcare. I told the executive chairman about the hospital group of company and say that the scarier part of a hacker attacks to the hospital is not only the loss of dollar and cents, but the loss of human lives. Just imagine that if we have if you have a machine that reads blood type data, right? If hackers want to mess up with the census data and switch your blood type from A change to O, for example, people can die, right? So that's the reason why cyber attacks are so important today. It's so critical today. It affects each and every one of us, right? So for organizations today, reinspect the backup strategies. In fact, we need to ask a question. We no longer can ask when are the hackers going to attack us. We should need to change our mindset, have a paradigm shift. We need to ask ourselves, do we know what to do when we are under attacks? In fact, this is the key questions all enterprises should be asking ourselves. Do we know what to do when we are under attacks? Of course, the best way against cyber attacks is prevention, right? So prevention is always better than cure. This old saying is always true. So do your preventions, conduct your penetration testing, understand the security risks of your organizations, look at threat intelligence about your organizations, look at what hacker knows about you, and study about, look at the dark web to see if your organization's name was even mentioned, in the dark web's chat forums. So a lot of activities need to be done today. We can no longer just sit tight, and we need to step up to be proactively defend ourselves, to apply preventive strategies, right? So basically, I hope that I didn't exceed my time. Have I exceeded 20 minutes? Okay. So next will be a Q&A.
We'll now open the floor for Q&A session. Please raise up your hand so we can pass you the mic.
Yes.
Thank you. It's eye-opening. It's scary.
Scary.
So we use Google Cloud in our organization. So how do we protect ourselves? I mean, one feels that you save from not having servers. Everyone is relying on the cloud. So how do we protect ourselves from an enterprise perspective? And home users thinking that we're quite safe. Now you're telling us we're not. So going back to pen and paper would be the best, I guess.
No, not really. Okay, let me answer the first question first. The cloud, right? We are also using the cloud, by the way. We're using cloud for emails and cloud storage. Basically, cloud, whatever it is, right? Server, those are just technologies. In order for us to achieve security in our enterprise, we do not just rely on technologies. We have to look at other things like our processes, our policies and procedures. For example, if you are hosting your emails on the cloud, at the same time, you are allowing employees using simple username and password for their email access, and the chances for their email accounts get compromised will get very high, right? So that's why technologies itself is not enough. You can apply multiple layers of technologies onto technologies, but it is just technologies. It still falls back to the human as the last line of defense. So human-wise, we need to look at our strategies, like how do we apply our policies and procedures? How do we enforce user awareness? Do we tell our end users not to click on unknown attachment when they receive something? Do we tell our user do not download pirated software? All of these boils down back to policies and procedures. So technologies alone is isolated, it's not enough to maintain security. Now for home users, what we can do today, let's talk about what we cannot do first. What we cannot do is to stop people from attacking us. This is something that's inevitable. It's part of life already. In fact, if you talk to these IT administrators for the banks, they can tell you how many attacks the banks are receiving every day. It is scary, it's a scary numbers. So same applies for home users. There's something that we cannot do, which is the attacks that's coming in. But what we can do is to limit our exposure. For example, if we have CCTV exposed, make sure you change your password. Don't use simple password. If you have any, for example, home appliances that's using smart home appliances, like anyone using robot cleaner at home? Yes. Make sure you update the firmware. Whenever your mobile app prompts you to update, you need to update. If you are using smart appliances, let's say you have smart TV at home, and if your smart TV prompts you for an update, please go and update the smart TV. And the scary thing is, in fact, I like scary movies, by the way. The scary thing is we get to see more and more internet-connected devices coming to our lives, right? We get to see smart watches like Apple Watch. We get to see more and more smart devices. We already have smart TV. We get to see smart washing machines, cleaning robots, and in fact, we're expecting to see autonomous driving cars, vehicles. We're expecting to see when 5G come into our lives, we're going to see more internet-connected devices that's wearable, that we wear. So cybersecurity is inevitable. We just need to learn the way to protect ourselves, right? So if anyone interested into investing in cybersecurity companies, then you know which one to invest in. So thank you so much for your questions. I guess my time is up. Thank you.
On behalf of Fong Investment Bank, I would like to thank Mr. Fong for sharing his insight with us.